Hideo Kojima has spent the last 60 years stranded making Death Stranding 2 the most perfect, thought-provoking game. A game that ascends beyond space and time. And what did he come back with?
No one will ever stop me from making my pizzas.
In the intro of the game, I thought Kojima was showing me videos of the outside, even though I've never been there before. But no, these are the actual graphics of the game. The environments and terrain in Death Stranding 2 is also fun to traverse. You also get to plan your way around the environment with ladders, watchtowers, and figure out how to avoid obstacles like enemies and rivers. And they even added a weather system with winds, rising waters, and other weather effects that make you improvise on your strategy on how you're going to get to your destination now. And that's one big improvement that they made in the sequel. The walking isn't really all that fleshed out. You trip down a boulder, hold the triggers. You're falling 50 feet, hold the triggers. A giant penis flytrap is trying to kill you, hold the triggers, you'll be fine. But the atmosphere itself is really what gets you to walk those 1,000 miles. The setting is overall just great for Death Stranding 2. Just walking around with the DS2 songs in the background is relaxing and feels like an otherworldly feeling. And you get access to vehicles earlier in this game than in Death Stranding 1. And vehicle manslaughter is pretty awesome. And the driving in DS2 is pretty solid, although you can't drive up a cliff, so your car is not overpowered. Also, they serve a purpose besides going faster, since you're going to be carrying heavy cargo in the game. And if you don't, get a vehicle for heavy cargo, the game's going to turn into... Now you're probably wondering, where are the guns in this game? Since we all know that it is the law for games to have guns, like Fortnite. There is way more weapons and combat encounters in the sequel, which is strange since the first game took place in America, and now we're in Australia in the second one. The new weapons are the grenade pistol, the dart cannon, grenade launcher, sniper rifle, machine gun, blood grenade, and a whole bunch more. The stealth options are also pretty cool, since it was literally from the dude who made Metal Gear Solid. Also, why is this FedEx employee able to beat up like a whole camp of enemies in a giant Pacific Rim mech? Speaking of which, the boss fights are also really cool because they're really big and that's awesome, and they look really sick and they're cool to fight. You also fight ghosts and other mechs. You can get like a Tron looking ass knife from one of the mechs. But combat is usually like 20% of the gameplay. Deliveries is like 80% of that. Death Stranding is generally a very unique game. Walking is like a very overlooked part of a lot of games. This game might not be for everyone, but compared to something like Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed Shadows, and Starfield, they're pretty generic, and even if you don't like Death Stranding, you have to admire it for being creative and, doing something innovative. And also, none of these games have Elle Fanning's feet in it. I'm not going to recap the first game's story since there's a PowerPoint presentation recap in Death Stranding. The first game's world building was really cool, but also was never really explained to you all that well. Like, why is Norman Reedus running away from the black tar heroine chasing him? Why is a fucking rainbow dangerous?
Son of a bitch. Rainbow!
It also didn't help that it diluted from the emotional moments, because they had to put in bangers like this.
The beach goes the whole way. We run. Together.
Run?
Yeah. Like Mario and Princess Peach.
Death Stranding 2 does have a lot of more neat world building, but it also is more character focused, but also has a lot of long cutscenes, which is basically part of the Kojima game bingo card. I don't have a problem with the cutscenes in this type of game because I don't think interactivity or immersion is really all important in a game like this. The characters have the worst names ever, but they're all really interesting. Like Norman Reedus' character arc is pretty good, and so is Fragile's and Elle Fanning, which I'm not calling tomorrow. Also, in terms of the story, the sequel actually succeeds in its themes of personal connection way better than the first game ever did. Also, the best character is Neil, and he's not Solid Snake. Oh wow, that's another Kojima bingo slot. And he's a really cool villain. And that's the biggest praise I'm ever going to give to someone named Neil, but for real, he's the best character. He absolutely carries. Also, once you reach the ending of the game, Kojima, like, there's no spoilers here, but Kojima puts, like, the craziest action-packed, cool, stupid finale ever in a game ever, and it's kinda awesome. I surprisingly liked the gameplay, which I wasn't really expecting all that much. But there were some moments where I was like, yeah, I just want to see the next part of the story. But in conclusion, Death Stranding 2 is not a masterpiece, but I think it is really good. But I'm going to give it a 9 since this is what I feel like the vision Kojima had for Death Stranding 1. It succeeded in telling what it wanted to say, it succeeded in making it actually enjoyable, it succeeded in Kojima because he got to scan more feet, but Death Stranding is something terrifying that keeps it back from perfection. A French person!